Hello everybody, my name is Colin White. I'm the founder and president of BI Research. It's my great pleasure to welcome you today to the Northwest BI Summit in sunny Grants Pass in Oregon. Today I have a good friend of mine, Scott Davis, who's the founder of Lysosoft, and we're going to sort of share with you some of the ideas we've been discussing throughout the course of this conference, and really a lot about the new technologies and the kind of applications that companies are now developing. A lot of discussion this morning was around really, we're applying big data, advanced analytics and technologies like that to build a lot of new types of applications. And in fact, one of the discussions we had this morning, a lot of these applications are designed for sort of single use or single line of business solutions. And the conversation this morning was, well, how do we take existing approaches and infrastructures and integrate those into this environment? So perhaps, why don't you sort of extend your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that the principal problem that we have with using one approach for two different solutions is that business intelligence is really a one-size-fits-many approach. Mm-hmm. We figure out a common set of needs and a common language, and we deliver that through a common platform at very low cost per decision. But there are a whole host of very specialized or one-off decisions that need to be made, kind of the long tail approach. And business intelligence architectures aren't optimized for that. They're optimized for solving the same type of problem over and over again, but not so much solving a problem only once.
Can you give me some examples?
Yeah, there's some great examples. So for instance, you might say, well, I have a particular contract that I'm negotiating with a client, and the client's asking me for a new and novel set of contractual arrangements that we haven't thought about before. And I need to scrub some particular elements out of my data that are normally in my traditional BI reports, or I need to incorporate some external data that's not normally in my BI reports. These are things that I don't necessarily want to loop back and apply to everyone else. I don't want to go through the trouble of incorporating them into MDM, but they're relevant.
Would be a one-off.
A one-off, exactly. Yeah. But so if you try to take the BI infrastructure and solve that problem using the BI approach, it's going to be very expensive and slow. On the other hand, if you try to say, well, let's throw out the BI, everything we've been doing for the last 30 years, all the ETL and warehousing and all that good stuff, and we're just going to do everything clean sheet of paper every time, it's going to be very, very expensive because you're not getting the benefits of economy of scale that are inherent in the engineered approach for BI. So I really think you have to live with a both and.
So we're saying then we're moving towards really two environments. One environment which is more our traditional environment, may be fairly broad in scope. We actually can leverage that for a number of different solutions. Therefore, we can sort of get return on investment from the money we put into these systems. And then sitting alongside these, we may have single use or really applications designed for a specific project or line of business solution.
Right. May
blend data from our existing environment or may blend in new kinds of data, and that then coexists with this, but trying to apply all this infrastructure to this isn't going to work.
It will be inefficient, for sure.
But how do we make these two fit together then?
I think that that's going to be a great thing for us to figure out 5 years from now. I think the first thing we have to do is actually be able to solve both problems. And today we really struggle because everyone wants to take a one-size-fits-all approach. I think that what I could say as an optimistic statement is if you think about the traditional BI approach, that's not the way the world began. The way the world began was with somebody needing to make what was at that time a one-off decision, and then they found that they made that same or similar kind of decision later, and they began to say, hey, well, let's back up. We're making the same kinds of decisions multiple times. Let's standardize the data collection. Let's standardize the nomenclature. Let's standardize the methodology. And that was the birth of BI. So you could really think about it as not really sort of two completely distinct and separate things. It's really like an oscillation that moves back and forth. So you have the creative, messy part, and it hopefully spawns some business growth that you repeat in the future, and it kind of comes over and becomes a standard methodology. But a lot of stuff won't. It'll be one-off, it'll be experimental, it'll be learning, and it won't make its way over there.
So the idea then with these new type of applications, we may use new technologies to do that. We develop them, and they may actually, based on best practices, we may actually use them in other environments, and they gradually grow and be blended into our existing environment.
Right.
But some of them will be one-off. They may
Yes.
only exist for a month or two, then we throw them away.
Correct.
And they're just sort of investigative or one-off type
Correct.
applications. But the key thing is that, what came up this morning was we kept trying to retrofit the way we do things
Yeah.
to these new systems. And you say it's not going to work. We've got to say, what are we trying to do here? What data do we do? What data do we need? What technologies do we need? Build it, learn from that, and
Yes.
stop trying to sort of do things like it could be infrastructure or
Right.
data governance or data quality management.
Right.
Stop trying to apply the old model to the new way of doing things.
I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, great.
All right.
Well, it's sort of, it's going to be a challenge, but it's sort of, I think it's an exciting direction we're going in. So thank you for talking to me
It was
today,
fun.
Scott. It's interesting discussion. So thank you everyone for joining me today at the BI Northwest Summit. This is Colin White saying goodbye to you all.